Okay, so here we are, middle of May. Let's see. Still have the blueberry bushes inside of the cabbage. That's okay. I'll get them out. Merlin's out here with me. So, what I think I'm going to try to get done this evening is to clean this bed out. You see there is spinach that has came. Look at the spinach. It's actually looking great. Here's my hand. So that's my hand against these spinach leaves. They're pretty big. Awesome. And look at the grapevine. It's looking all right. It's filling in. And my shenanigan of a wire on a stick is holding up. But I do want to clean out the last of the weeds that are trying to take over the bed here. And that's the last of the remains of the peppers from last year. Those were the peppers. The lettuce was there. You see there is some of that's weeds. But these here are from when the lettuce bolted. These actually came back. And then that's where the tomato, the tumbling toms were. Here I had green beans, but all that completely went away. And that is just a pile. Just a pile over there. So I think I'm going to focus on this section, getting this cleaned up. And I'm going to debate whether tonight I'm going to put something in here. Alright, so what I'm doing is, if you see, for example, these are just weeds that I had pulled out, so I just want to make sure I get all this mess out of here. Make sure that nothing is like taking as far as roots. And these old ones, I'm going to get rid of them too, but I'll just compost all that. Over here and just trying to pull these up. It's a little bit dry, but it is coming up decently. Usually I try to do this after it rains because it's much easier to pull them out by the root if I'm just tugging like I am. Where if it's really dry, it's harder to just pull them out. And then this here, this is just a piece of wire that I had. I had put the panels in the ground and then I zip tied them so that they would stay. I also zip tied them to the fence. And what I grew here was peas. The peas were at the bottom. And then you can see there's a little tendril remains from the peas from last year. And they actually were pretty low maintenance for me. I didn't have to do too much to them. So that is a plant that I would recommend. And they were good fresh. It's a little bit dry, so I'm just being as careful as possible. Because the drier the dirt, the harder it is to pull it out by the root. But we're not due any rain for days. So I'm just trying to pull them out as carefully as I can. And getting them by the root. Last year in this area, I had broccoli, broccolini, I had some peppers, and early on, I had radishes, which weren't eaten, so I'm not going to do those again. I am going to do the broccoli, but I'm going to cover them with tulle this year. Because last year, my broccoli actually had pretty heads on them. However, I had a lot of critters. And with that being the first time that I've grown broccoli, I didn't realize how bad the brassicas were going to be taken by all the critters. And then the rocks I'm just tossing behind. So this year, my plan is to use tulle. Then this, I'll probably put some more seeds in there. This is where I had marigolds. So I'll break this up and probably just throw some more seeds in there. Just fluff it up a little bit. Take this old label out of there. There we go. Okay, so they're coming. I just have to be careful how much pressure I put on them. One of the things I find difficult is when you put them in as seeds, sometimes weeds get in here and then you're trying to figure out, is that a weed or is that the seeds I put in? So just trying to make sure that I clear as much of the weeds out, because then I just compare. If it looks like the other things, then I think it's the seed. If it looks different, then I think it's a weed, and that gets pulled out. At least until I get to know my leaves very well. But this here, I'm just debating in my head if I want to pull it, because it may be something from last year, like the lettuce that has a head start. And then just pulling out the grass, because that likes to try to creep in here too. I see one more right here that I'm going to pull out. And I don't like putting a lot of weight into the bed, because then it's mashing it, and then there's all kinds of worms and beneficial insects that are growing in here that I don't want to damage. All right, I've made the decision. I'm gonna pull this because it's probably a weed. It's hopeful thinking on my part, but the reality is that it's probably a weed. So here, I had a lot of problems last year with the stray cats. Some of them weren't even stray cats, but they're cats that people let out of their home so they could roam the neighborhood, and then they come into my yard uninvited, dig everything up, and poop. So I had put this netting down, because the purpose of this is so that they can't dig, because their little paws just can't get there. But I think I'm gonna do it different. Instead of having this, because it works, but then it makes it difficult for me to get in there and work the ground. And now look, this spinach has started to come up and it's entwined in there. So I have to make a decision on what to do if I want to try to work it out, which I did that before. It's, you know, it takes some time, but it's doable. It's completely doable. But for now, I'm going to focus on getting all these out of here, because these are just weeds. These are not vegetables. Or nothing edible. And just trying to get them by the root. But it's working. They're coming out. It's not as dry as I thought it was out here. It hasn't been very hot yet. It's just been nice. I'll take these nice days, because usually it goes from cold to hot. But we're getting a break this time. Oh, this one came out good. Look at that one. Got almost the entire thing. And I'm just gonna continue. All right, so I pulled up all the weeds. I got my little pile of weeds there, but all the way down to the lettuce, it's clear. I'm not gonna get in here and dig it out, because that also disrupts all of the natural beneficial insects who have made this area their home. So what I'm gonna do is put seed down and then cover it with a new layer of garden soil. And then when I'm ready to put something in this section, once I decide my layout, I'm gonna stay almost the same, because that is where the peas go. So I'm gonna put the peas right back along there, and then the lettuce in front. I have that set up for the tomatoes. But this year, I don't know if I'm gonna do the cherry tomatoes. that vine up. Merlin. Oh, he's got that hoof. I gave him a hoof. And then I have to clean this out. I'm actually going to do this next. This is the netting that I use to try to keep the cats out. So you see that needs cleaned out. And then if you see those little white pegs, these were from outdoor Christmas decorations that I repurposed to use to keep the fence in place. And then I use it like an A style where it goes right here along the wood, and then I just lean it onto the fence. And then I do that. Over there I didn't because I had that down in the ground area. But that was, you know, shenanigans to keep the cats out. And you can see a couple of the tomatoes that I didn't grab. So I don't know if there's any seeds in there, those little pods. So this will all come out. My little fence post here. So if you see this, and then it just leans over. Sometimes I'll see cats and the squirrels and other things along the top of the fence, but when I finish straightening this out, this goes all the way across, and then I can enclose it. But like down there how it's really over, and then the cats don't get in. So that's my no harm to the innocent animals who people are irresponsible with, and that's my pet peeve, the irresponsibility of people when it comes to their animals, because half these cats that come in here have bells and tags and everything else. So, and I'm gonna make sure I water the lettuce too, because I want to keep that growing.